Greetings, chess friends. Let's start the first of our 3 games today. And we have 3 games, 2 world champions, and youth versus experience. We have revenge of the highest order. Really something for everybody today. So you can see the names here, absolute legends. Bobby Fischer needs no introduction here with the black pieces. Playing on his birthday, his 14th birthday, Bobby Fischer here. If you're not familiar with the player with the white pieces, Max Euwe, probably not the proper pronunciation, but I'm going to say Max Euwe today. If you're not familiar with him, he was the world champion. And I'll pause here briefly to tell the story. Essentially, Alekhine said, I don't really want to play that Capablanca guy, and said, I'll play this Max Euwe guy from the Netherlands. And Max Euwe wins the match in one of the biggest upsets in chess history. This is in 1935, I believe. And 2 years later, Max Euwe loses the title back to Alekhine, okay, who holds the title until his death. Really interesting chess story, but 20 years later, roughly, it is Bobby here who is playing kind of the young wonder kid in America, and later this year, he will become the U.S. champion. The next year, 15 years old Grandmaster. But here's 14th birthday, Bobby with the black pieces. Let's get really into the details. Max Euwe plays a nice, patient game, really experience winning the day versus youth in this one. But already Bobby was very strong, making headlines. He had already played the game of the century and was absolutely formidable here. Bishop c2. Let's talk about this move. Here at this moment, I doubt many of us would really think of this move. What would you play here? Now we know the answer, but what would you play here? Bishop c2. Hopefully you get the idea. Queen d3 sets up a nice battery. I want to point out here that, of course, the knight is still guarding, but our bishop can remove that knight. But I want to point out that you think grandmasters, world champions, they play all these amazing moves that I could never see. Not necessarily the case. Chess masters will play strong moves, of course, but a lot of times they will beat you with simplicity. It's bishop back, queen up, setting up a battery for checkmate. Not complex, but very effective. Here we go. Bishop e7. This actually prevents the threat. Euwe plays knight f4, but let's just see. Queen d3, a terrible move, actually, due to knight b4. Remember, the bishop was just standing on that square, so now this is possible. You don't have a moment to play bishop takes knight, first knight takes your queen. So bishop e7 prevents it. Knight f4, a good move, and perhaps the losing move here. Queen b6, really setting off a chain of events. It's only move 14 that essentially wins the game. The idea is simple, but again, knight b4 comes too quickly, so Max Euwe, white pieces, takes first, exclamation point. Remove the defender, if you've heard that expression. There is the defender of h7 is gone, and now, hopefully you can guess the next move, queen d3. Not complex, but very effective. Black is in trouble. Bobby is in trouble. Here, he decides to move his rook and hit the road. Why not g6, you might ask? Preventing that, again, the idea queen h7 was checkmate. Why not g6? Well, remember this useful forward knight move. Now, this is a disaster for black. Knight takes e6. What are you going to do? Pawn takes, queen takes. g6. You cannot move king h8. Checkmate in 1. Easy enough. The only move here, bishop g7. You can play queen h7. You can play queen takes another pawn, e6. Really, really bad. So Bobby sees all the danger. He says, rook moves. I'm hitting the road. Another mature move coming here. I really like this one, rook e1. You understand that the black king is going this way, and putting the rook on e1, anticipating that. Of course, there's still this bishop in the way, but it's a useful inclusion and actually wins the game for white. So keep that rook in mind. Another just point I want to make, it's not useful to make the hasty move here, king f8, and let's say check. If you do this, the only move is king e7. Actually, maybe some captures here, but essentially the queen will need to move to stay alive. So really interesting variations going crazy there. But queen d3, rook d8. He plays rook e1. Really nice move. Knight b4. That looks scary. It was, but now we have queen h7. Well timed. Again, doesn't play the extra check. A good lesson for you all out there. I remember my old coach used to say something funny here: "Monkey see check, monkey do check." Like it's human nature to just want to play the check as you're improving as a chess player, and then you realize, well, it's just one more option like any other move. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do en passant, but they're tempting. So A3, I absolutely love this miniature haymaker because this is on the queen side of the board, and it's removing a defender, affecting the knight here that's getting kicked away is guarding this pawn. So it's affecting the center, queen side, center, in order for us to play checkmate on the king side here. All looks a little complicated, fireworks going off here, but let's see what actually happens. Knight takes. Notice that's not a blunder. The queen actually is watching there. But Max Euwe has other ideas. Happy birthday, Bobby. Knight C takes d5. Incredible move. Black takes a bishop, and knight takes d5 is absolutely lights out. This move guards e7, and now queen h8 is checkmate. In addition to that, you are hitting their queen. Checkmate and the queen, that's a problem. Bishop cannot take. Notice bishop take uncovers the rook, and then queen h8 again is checkmate. The only move that means is rook takes, which is giving material, and then he did it, and then you're back into the same problem. Black resigns. The only move, bishop takes, allows the checkmate again. You make another move with your queen. You can avoid the checkmate, let's say, with king e8 or something ridiculous, but we just take the queen. White is winning. Wow, what a lesson here on Bobby's 14th birthday. The chess.com review ranks this game as 97.1 for Max Euwe. 97.1. Pretty good for an old-timer. Bobby, 82.7. Wow. Wow. Here we go. Next game, number 2. Here, and the colors are switched. Max Euwe with the black pieces. And in this one, Bobby plays a Ruy Lopez. A little less exciting game. But I must say here, pretty topical stuff for the 1950s, huh? Here, giving back the material, equal material here. Bishop e6, c3, bishop e7, knight b d2, castles, and queen e2. I'm not up to date on the theory, but these moves all seem very reasonable. Knight c5. There's so many twists and turns in this Ruy Lopez. Often, the rook can go to e1 and the knight back. But who knows what they were thinking back then. Just trying to play logical moves. A lot more of a guessing game, and there was no engines to check. So here's the real game, though. White feeling pretty comfortable. Honestly, white has this really nice pawn so far forward. Queen is guarding it, and you can imagine the, let's say, f-pawn really getting rolling. I like white's position here. Comfortable. And avoids the queen trade. c5, this move really starts to provoke because it looks nice for black, but this pawn is now attacked twice and guarded twice. But Bobby goes to work trying to remove the queen and make this pawn into a weakness, essentially. Knight a5. Queen gets out of there, and now threatening to the bishop and trying to take this pawn. Here, g3. This is a big risk. g3. I think Bobby took some calculated risks, of course. He's basically saying, I want to win this pawn. That's pretty far away from g3. What are we talking about? If g3, that's what happened in the game, the queen has to move. Max Euwe played queen h5. Then knight takes. This all happened. Bishop takes a free pawn. Why the risk? That seems brilliant. But now the risk here are these squares around your king. The bishop for black, a really nice understanding here by Max Euwe, is able to take advantage, and you can imagine a checkmate. Of course, Bobby's so strong would not allow that, but just the danger of that, the pressure that comes with it. And most importantly, here, white does not have the bishop to guard these squares. Light square weakness. Here we go. Rook c7. White is up a pawn. Bobby Fischer up a pawn. Can he equal the match here? f4. That forever makes danger around the king, but also is a little safety. You're not going to get bishop f3 and closed in here. So f4, really a understandable move. Engine doesn't love it, but still slight edge to white. Here, rook c6 coming to g6 or h6. Black, down a pawn, actually has a really good situation here. Black. Here we go. Rook h6 gets a question mark, but a very understandable move. Bishop f5, rerouting to the best square, cutting through the king side. Remember we said g3 was a concession. Rook a1 and rook c8. I really like this move, rook c8. There is a tactic here. He plays rook b4, but check this one out. Rook takes, rook takes, rook takes a6. What would you play as black? Why did he allow that to be captured? Beautiful combination here. Queen d1. Vacating the back rank. If you block with the queen, this one is easy to understand. Queen takes queen, and bishop d3 wins the rook. Black wins. Okay, so that move is out. You can't block with the queen. That means the only move is here. What would you play here with black? We're on the attack, using the light squares. The rook isn't going to help you. Bishop e4. It's mate in two. Here, if king h3, queen h5, that's mate. Bishop guards, queen guards, all the rest. Wow. If you block with the queen, of course we're losing now, but checkmate all the same. Wow. Okay, so when Max slyly plays rook c8, he is not forgetting about this pawn. That is a high-level chess tactic right there. Love it. Rook b4, Bobby doesn't fall for it. Rook g6, rook b6, capture, capture. Queen g4, again, cannot take this pawn. The same tactic. Bishop d4, h5, a really good move. This is a great lesson, adding pawns to the attack. Here, h4 is really jarring loose the king side. Again, bishop e4 will be uncontested, great bishop. I think black has better practical chances, as they say. Rook f1, and evidently, this game was a draw offer or accepted. I don't recall, or I don't remember if it was stated, but as a bit of pity here, so to speak. In other words, black wins the match. Let's see, right here. Black wins the match with a draw and just agreed to draw, even though black is now the one invading. These last few moves have been really invasive, right? And it really helps with the pawn, the rook, the queen, and bishop, a great attacking team. And this move is really an invasion. Really great. So draw in this game, 1.5 to half. Max Euwe wins this mini match. And I'll mention one other thing, that this game was found, the notation was found sometime in 2010 or something like that, I read. They had never found this game before. The first game, The Win, was published. Amazing game, but this one was dug up some 60 years after it was played. So in the Marshall Chess Club, I believe. Really cool story there. Let's see the third game. Now, Bobby, I'm sure he did not forget, but playing again, Max Euwe, this is at the Chess Olympiad. Board 1, USA. Board 1, Netherlands. And it was a rematch just 3 years later. And Bobby with the white pieces. A Caro-Kann defense exchange variation. This variation here is actually pretty interesting and still played today. I believe the eval is roughly a draw. A lot of draws in the database. I recall looking at this from the white side. But pretty cool to see that these two are playing such advanced theory. I don't want to get into all the details of the opening, but it's a messy one. Kind of walking on a tightrope here. White has these ugly pawns here, and then there's a nice in-between move right here. Check. The reason I'm going a little fast is because this has all been played dozens of times. This exact move order here, 12 moves in. So check, and you can't block with the queen, otherwise we take the rook in the corner. So you really have to only play king e7, not a fun move, and then white takes. So that's really the heart of it here. Basically, capture. It is equal material, but a total mess. White's king is in the open with terrible pawn structure. Pawns for white are awful. Doubled, isolated. Okay, Bobby, I'm sure, had studied this. And for black, the problems are obvious. Your king is standing in front of your bishop. That's going to cause a lot of problems. Queen d7, rook b1. Here, bishop e3, avoiding the checkmate that was threatened. That's an easy one for this level. And we go straight to an endgame. So when we arrive at an endgame, you want to start asking yourself, using our king here. By the way, good point for improving players, no need to castle. If you castle here, you are wasting moves because you're going to have to move your rook. And then where's your king? Move back this way. No need to castle. You're not in danger. Just get your king into the action here. So that's a great lesson. By the way, when we're arriving in the endgame here, you need to be thinking. A lot of players don't know what I should be thinking, what the plan, which pawn is most likely to promote. For white, I think it's this one, maybe the A pawn. For black, the question is a little harder. Are these 4 pawns really going to sneak by these 3? Even though they're doubled for white, it's going to be hard to just sneak right on by there. Here we go. Rook d1. Bobby trusting in the endgame. When you have bad pieces, trading kind of hurts you, right? Like it's as if this is black's only piece, and it's a trade, but black is left with all the bad pieces. Hallmark of Bobby's play. Here, rook b8. A paralyzing move. Notice you could have even taken a free pawn, but he plays rook b8 to pin the bishop and keep the black pieces tangled up. King c6. Now he grabs the pawn. Black is now officially, I would say, losing down a pawn. A pawn, powerful. C pawn, powerful. And the real brilliancy is coming here. A4. This is one of those only ways to untangle this is to guard the rook with the bishop. Bobby just ignores it. Rook b6, again, kind of essentially saying my pieces are better placed than yours. I don't want to trade your rook in the corner for my active rook on the 7th. So that's something you should be thinking when you're offered a trade or thinking about trading is that piece, is mine better than theirs? Here we go. A5, you can feel that this keeps creeping forward. Let's go a little faster here. Rook b8. What a move, and a scary move if you are black, because that pawn starts really rolling. A6 by Bobby. Rook b5 check gets a question mark. Best move was given rook d6. Let's give him a break on this. Here, rook b7 hitting the bishop, gaining a tempo. And then rook c7. How many of us would just push the pawn? Be honest. How many of you would just push the pawn? It feels so natural, but here, rook a3. And it's going to be actually difficult to get that pawn marching. Notice also, king d3 is threatening mate on us. What? So watch out here. Bobby does it amazing. Rook c7. Rook takes here. Now notice, if bishop takes, then the pawn just goes. That's the last dark square, and we're going to promote. So Bobby realizes, I'm going to take this. The only move is king takes. And can you find, folks, the brilliant finish to cap the revenge story here? Bobby Fischer defeating Max Euwe, the former world champion, and Bobby here, the future world champion. Bishop e5. Absolutely. This needs a brilliant, absolutely brilliant move. This pins the bishop to the king. And if you capture or ignore it, whatever you do, this pawn is marching, and that's it. There's only one light square left, and you just can't stop it. The pawn beats the whole army. Really nice tactic. Let's just talk for a second, and give me one more moment here. The a7 move, I know you were thinking. Bishop takes, king takes, and let's just say king d3. White is winning, okay? Let me be clear, white is winning. But this might be a tad harder than you think. So white is winning still, so partial credit. But bishop e5 is a stunner, and in my opinion, brilliancy, it says best, but brilliancy really deserving. Bobby wins this one, and lifetime match score equal here, 1 win each and 1 draw. So pretty amazing games, and you see another pretty impressive review here. Bobby over 92%, and just really at his best. He was just one of the all-time legends. So love these games. I feel like even from the most legendary players, some games we're just kind of discovering literally, or you're seeing them for the first time as well. So appreciate it. Definitely hope to see you again. Subscribe, like, comment, or just keep watching and enjoying. Appreciate it. Thank you again.